All right. Thank you very much. One of the nice things about this group is that it's short, smaller, and we can do different things. And my first poem of today, I would like to read, probably because I'll never read it again, who knows? But I had an assignment to do an erasure poem, which if you know, you either black it out or highlight something. And then I decided to take on something kind of difficult, and that was James Joyce. And so my poem's called Leopold Bloom Reflects, an erasure poem, based on Molly Bloom's 765 word stream of consciousness, concluding soliloquy from Ulysses by James Joyce. Whew. I love swimming in roses. There's nothing like the sea and waves rushing, rivers and lakes and flowers of all sorts and shapes and smells and colors springing out of ditches. Ah, yes, I know. Who was the first person in the universe? There you were, lying among the rhododendrons. That day, I got to propose, yes. I gave her the bit of seed cake out of my mouth. God, after that long kiss, I said she was a flower of the mountain. I knew I gave her pleasure till asked to say yes. She wouldn't answer, thinking of so many things the night we missed the boat at Algeciras. The sea crimson sometimes like fire, glorious sunsets, fig trees in the Alameda Gardens, yes, and the Andalusian girls. She asked me with eyes to ask again, yes. Ask would she say yes, my mountain flower. I put my arms around her, drew down to feel breasts all perfume, heart going like mad. Yes, she said, yes, I will. Yes.
If you'd like, you can unmute and give Sterling a little feedback. If not, I will just make a comment. You probably noticed on the right side of that poem that rather than black out or erase the parts that he didn't use, that Sterling left them so that you could see the original and see where he took the words for his poem from. Well done, sir. Well done. Next up, we will hear from Priscilla.
Hi guys, I am not as advanced as you in terms of poetry, reading poetry, and I apologize for that. I have chosen a poem from this writer who I've recently discovered, Ted Kozer, and I really enjoy reading his poetry, because I feel like I can connect with his writing, and because it shows us a lot of like nature, describing nature, the Great Plains. And this is where I'm living right now. I'm like out in the middle of nowhere, and I can share some of the feelings that he describes, or the scenery. So I chose to read Flying at Night. Okay, this is the poem is called Flying at Night. Above us, stars. Beneath us, constellations. 5 billion miles away, a galaxy dies like a snowflakes falling on water. Below us, some farmers, feeling the chill of that distant death, snaps on his yard light, drawing his sheds and barn back into the little system of his care. All night, the cities like shimmering novas, tugged with bright streets at lonely lights like this. So I really like it. Sorry. Sorry for my reading.
Great images and wonderful use of figurative language.
He has a very easy, like the diction is very easy, and then it's like it's not complicated to, like, there's a flow and there's not complicated to understand.
Okay, I have a cold, so I'm in and out coughing and trying to continue breathing. Sorry. Welcome, Nicole. Nice to have you join us. If you'd like to share a poem, let me know. And if not, we love you as an audience.
I will, but I have to find it first.
You have a few minutes because Michael Dwayne Smith is going to read to us.
Perfect.
Well, hello, everyone. And I was going to read a poem that takes about 9 seconds, so maybe I better read a different poem. Only kidding. Okay. But I have to follow Ted Kooser. That's also kind of a challenge. Nicely read, by the way, so you did just fine. I'm going to read a poem that appeared in this month's virtual. Thank you very much, Jim. And as always, I appreciate these open mics. I'm sorry to have missed the last 2 or 3 of them, but thankfully I had the opportunity to do it tonight. So here we go. This poem is, I think I will go with the shorter one. This poem is called Still Life as Poem Number 2. My father, who rises before dawn and lets my mother dream alone, sits beneath the small light over the kitchen table, his grasping hands illumined on a mug, half his unforgiven face also, as he stares into the black hole of his coffee.
That's quite a morning routine.
Thank you.
I like that, though.
Appreciate it.
Let's move to Kavita.
So this week I was on Storyteller Poetry Review by a feature that Sharon Knutson does. And she chose one of these poems, so I thought I would read it. And it's from an anthology called Climate at Crossroads. And the poem is called Please, Sir, No More. And I think all of you can guess where those lines are from. Please, sir, no more. An Australian bushfire rages. A koala barely escapes the flames, bewildered, hot, and thirsty. I watch the video from the safety of my home. A compassionate firefighter feeds him water from his water bottle, then withdraws the bottle, believing the koala's thirst was quenched. I imagine the koala saying, reaching out again for the bottle with his paws, "Please, sir, I want some more," like Oliver Twist. Meanwhile, the trees burned, the sky turned to ash, homes collapsed, people fled, the earth wept, oxygen turned to carbon dioxide. We closed our windows and our minds to keep out the smoke. I'm certain I heard the koala say, "Please, sir, no more." And I know he didn't mean water. Thank you.
Very good. I can never hear that line without thinking it in a British Cockney accent. Please, sir, may I have more?
Yeah. We used to say that to my mother when we wanted seconds. "Please, Mom, I want some more." And she said, "No seconds."
That's cute. Next up is Frankie.
Hi. One of my dear friends gifted me a poetry book for my birthday, and it's called Small Cures. And so I'm going to read something from that. Last night, when I was wandering through the deep, thick forest of your eyes, you asked me what I was thinking. And surprised, I quickly painted you a picture perfect lie about how your eyes remind me of the color of bark. Actually, I was wondering if branches on trees ever get tired of reaching. And if they do, then so can I.
Tell us again, who is that poet?
It's by Della Hicks Wilson.
Thank you. I always like to know when I hear something cool who wrote it.
Lovely line. The branches get that. Can you read that line again, please? What does it say?
Actually, I was wondering if branches on trees ever get tired of reaching. And if they do, then so can I.
Oh, beautiful. Absolutely lovely.
I loved the imagery that was used in it, and I love trees. I'm such a tree girl.
Me
So
too.
it was just lovely to read.
Right. I'm next, if I can actually speak to get through a poem. I recently put out an offer again for April with friends, but I won't do the one a day for the whole month of April because I'll be gone for a week for celebrating my 50th wedding anniversary, and I don't intend to be paying attention to Facebook and poetry during that time. I'll be gathering material, of course, but not doing any posting, or certainly not much. But one of my friends, excuse me, who was aware that my father recently passed, said, "Why don't you write a poem about the reunion on the other side?" And I thought, well, how would I approach that? So I came up with a scenario called "It's Been a While." And that's the title of the poem. It's also the first line. It's been a while, hasn't it now? How have you been? Are things good here? Is anything like it was? I mean, down there where we could eat, work, play, visit with friends? Is there a schedule? You know, I have questions, probably 1,000 or more, about what you've been doing since I saw you last. And if you measured time waiting, or maybe you were busy and didn't realize how long we've been separated, one a body, one a soul. And oh, that's got to be the tightest hug ever. Like so tight I can't talk. Maybe I'll just be quiet and hug you back. No need at all to ask if you've missed me.
I want to know if the second poem you're going to read, when it's your turn, is going to be the one that you wrote with the Kipling lines, because that's my request.
Well, I would be happy to honor that request. I will open it while we go to Nicole.
So I used to write some poetry in my younger years, and then lost it and then gained it back. So this one's called The Heart. It's called When You Are Alone in Your Heart, the feelings run deep through the veins and out of your extremities. She tells you secrets with her pulsating and aching in your chest. She pulls you in with her quickened beats when she knows she is being fulfilled and on the right path. When she knows you're near, she beats with a rhythm only she knows the meaning of as it is unique to her. She filters all emotions, but most of all, love. She has a way of contorting the sadness, anger, and grief to shift her worldview back into space of love, to allow herself to open to more healing and even more love once she is healed from those whom she has shared her soul. She never forgets to hold a special place for herself in one of the chambers, so she is able to continue to love with an open heart and feel so deeply all of herself when she is alone in her heart.
I like it. The ability to reframe pain, anger, hurt into love is a practiced ability. I still struggle with that. I tend to hold on to hurt and anger far too long.
And that line about the chambers of the heart, that was a beautiful line.
Thank you.
Have we gone around everyone who wants to read a poem this go? If so, then we're back to Sterling for another bit.
Unmute. Okay. And this one's called Breakthroughs. Brain fog dissipated as eye ticks stimulate slack intellect. Conjure memories quaintly stored, never lost, in a mind that wanders, watching storks tucking legs, taking wing towards a horizon. And age-old songs transport cobweb thoughts tangled in the present to youthful remembrances, unfettered by time, released into a perpetual springtide when planets align, gravitational arms pull, and watery reflections thrust, ebbing, flowing, tugging, Renaissance recollections of lovers as alluring as Evelyn Nesbit, she of the red velvet swing, compelling as Clara Bow, the original It Girl, as notorious and yet brilliant as Hedy Lamarr, provocative, inventive, genius.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening.
Priscilla, would you like to read a second poem? You'll have
Yes,
to unmute.
please.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Go
I
right
was
ahead.
trying to write a a compliment to Mr. Warner. The way you read, sir, it's, I mean, amazing. Great job.
You've muted again, Priscilla. You're muted.
Here we go. I apologize. Same poet, Ted Kooser, and I really like this poem called Visiting Mountains. This basically represents what I see every day, so I was able to connect immediately with the poem. Visiting mountains. The plains ignores us, but the mountains listen. An audience of thousands holding its breath in each rock. Climbing, we pick our way over the skulls of small talk. On the prairies below us, the grass leans this way and that in discussion. Words fly away like corn shucks over the fields. Here, lost in a mountain's attention, there's nothing to say. This is exactly what I experience when I go hiking.
I'm not surprised. Ted is just a marvelous poet, and I love his poetry. So thank you for bringing him to our gathering today. That was very good.
Thank you.
Michael.
Thank you. All right. This next poem also appeared this month in Verse Virtual. Excuse me. And it is entitled, You'd Still Be Here. If I were a magician instead of a parlor trick, if I were a eucalyptus grove and not a leaf blower, if I were a silver needle, if I were a guardrail instead of a distant train, if I were a long pause on the phone and not an explanation, if I were a wheelbarrow, if I were a dresser drawer instead of a door, if I were a moon-soaked moment and not a hard fact, if I were a down pillow, if I were a garden instead of a bee sting, if I were a freshwater stream and not the interstate, if I were a bank holiday, if I were a bossa nova instead of a shrug, if I were a rain slicker and not a damp woolly blanket, if I were a tiny bell, if I were a seabird instead of an old apology, If I were a somnambulant child and not a homeless window, if I were a porch light.
I do love that poem, and I love the comparison contradictions.
Love it, love it. Beautiful.
Really
Beautiful.
nice.
Yep. Agree.
So that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4. Nicole, would you like to read another poem? Oh, sorry, I'm going out of turn. Frankie should be next, if you'd like.
I have another one out of that same book by the same author. Honey, do not let your beautiful mind become a battlefield. Just because someone has shown you their weapons does not mean that you have to accept the war.
Good advice for life.
Wow.
Would you put the title of that book and the author in the chat?
Happily.
Thank you. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's me.
That's you. Okay.
So since I read the first poem was about climate change, I'm going to read the other poem from the Count Every Breath, which is also about climate change. And this poem is called Meeting of the Birds, based on the BBC article, Climate Change is Disrupting the Birds and the Bees. And it starts off with a couple of lines from my father's poem called Sparrows. You may not doubt their single aim, which is to fly and then to mate, aroused to build with twig and leaf a nest sufficient for the need. That was from Sparrows by Nissim Ezekiel. Now the poem. Birds have their rituals too. A host of morning sparrows gather round the birth bath, sipping water beak by beak, turning heads to each other, taking turns to express their opinions. Like members in a corporate meeting, cognizant of the viewpoints of the others, sometimes in agreement, sometimes not, almost always deferential, so human in their demeanor. The meeting over, they fly away in a flurry of wings, gathering in twos and threes on rooftops scattered with fallen leaves to have further discussion. A meeting after the meeting. Cell phones turned off, photography forbidden in both meetings. Eavesdropping on the conversation, some surprise for me. Weren't they birds after all? The tweeting was about climate change. Didn't know birds did that. And this is what the birds said. We may be outnumbered by humans. We share the earth, lightening its sorrows with our songs. The tweeting continued. Birds, bees, turtles, fish, plants, flowers are mating. I heard dating, patterns changing rapidly. Infidelity, divorces, and affairs are ruining our marriages. Global warming is serious business for us birds. This new earth is wearisome. I want a different future for me and my sparrow babies. If the earth becomes a cooker, where will us birds build our nests, find food, fight new predators, fly free and easy? Warmer temperatures are quietly spoiling the mood. Thank you.
That was delightful, Kavita. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've lost track of where we are. It's either me or Nicole. Nicole, do you want to do another poem? And then I'll go after you. You're muted.
That darn mute button causes so many challenges. Let me see. This one's called Struck a Chord. Complicated like all the strings of a guitar. How do you know what string to pluck and when? As you slide down the guitar neck, how do you know when to stop? You close your eyes and feel the strings beneath your fingers. It guides you to where you need to be and when to emote a particular sound that resonates within your soul to imbue. All that you begin to understand as your hands begin to move more quickly, as you play to the rhythm, which is the answer of where you need to be.
Do you play guitar?
Nope.
That was interesting because I do, and I was picturing that motion and that movement on the guitar neck. That was fun. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, per Kavita's request, this is a poem that I posted very recently on Facebook, and it was specifically written for my father or about my father. And it's called If Only. You've no doubt heard the famous poem, the iffy one, about doing all the hard things that divide the good guys from the losers. My father memorized it as a child, recited it sometimes when he thought I might be listening for once. I never let on that it mattered because those were such unnatural things to do, and I was just a kid trying to survive. Eventually, he stopped quoting the verses and just went about living them, thinking I didn't notice, didn't care. But oh, the difference it made. As I moved into fatherhood, prepared, trusting myself when others doubted, watching life plans crumble, knowing how to rebuild because I had seen it done, not just preached, keeping virtue in a crowd, knowing when to leave. All those things he lived imperfectly at times, but with a determination that still astounds me and guides me through the hardest, darkest times. I think he might not choose such lines to mark his final resting place when that time comes, but they are how he's lived and loved and fought. And though he may not know how he taught me what being a father means when times get rough, tough. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will, which says to them, hold on, if only.
Powerful, powerful stuff. Reminds me of my dad a lot.
I
And
really
of
like that
course,
a lot.
Very vivid.
having written that in 21, it came back to mind as I went to my dad's funeral last week in New Mexico. Those red rocks behind me are so typical of the area where he loved to be out horseback riding and hiking.
Yeah, I love that poem. That's a beautiful tribute.
Beautiful. Absolutely. Poignant and powerful.
Thank
Lovely.
you. I'm looking at the time, it's 5:03. We have time for another round of poems if you all are interested and would like to, because that's what we do is come to share poems. But it's okay to pause after a poem and comment and compliment and ask questions if you like, because this is informal. There is nothing rigid about what we do other than me trying to remember who's next.
Hello?
Sterling, it looks like you're up.
My screen just went black a minute ago. Uh, okay. Well, I did have one about the Saint Francis Key Bridge, but I decided I don't feel like doing that. I want to do something very lighthearted that takes me back 55 years. Motor cards. Playing cards clipped to bicycle wheels. One-eyed jacks motorize the rear, while all four aces shuffle on front spokes, drown out sparrows and larks' early morning chirps, slicing through dew-laden streets, clickety-clack, 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 announcing my roadway prominence, weaving in and out of imaginary traffic, hands free from the handlebars, defying safety and parental rules, flirting with girls who stroll to school in cotton dresses, waving as I pass them, smug as a biker, sans leather, sans Harley, tires increasing momentum, wind at my back.
Oh, I love that. I did bicycle cards and the spokes.
Yeah,
Oh, we thought we were just so great.
Yeah, I love that too, Sterling. That's one of my favorites I've heard from you.
Oh, thank you.
And we never lose that as we get older and get into cars. The louder they are, the cooler they are. And if you're not loud, you're not cool. That was just fun. Priscilla, would you like to read another?
Yes, I have one more. Okay, so Ted Kuzer. In the corners of fields. Something is calling to me from the corners of fields, where the leftovers fenced wire suns its loose coils, and stones thrown out of the furrow sleep in warm litters, where the gray faces of old no hunting signs mutter into the wind, and dry horse tanks spout fountains of sunflowers, where a moth flutters in from the pasture, harried by sparrows, and alights on a post, so sure of its life that it peacefully opens its wings. Yes, it's very. Thank you for listening. It's a very I like the naturalistic themes, and I can totally I can see myself, like when I go out there and where I live, this is what I see. And I'm so happy that somebody is able to put it in words and put in these beautiful poems.
So read the last two lines again for us.
Okay. So let me see okay. Where a moth flutters in from pasture, harried by sparrows, and alights on a post, so sure of its life that it peacefully opens its wings.
Beautiful.
I love the quiet analogy there, because
Lovely.
it describes people that I know and respect who are so sure of their lives that they aren't afraid to open their wings.
Wow. Gorgeous lines.
Ted Kuzer would definitely be writing that while he's just writing about nature. That's one of the
right.
He does so well.
The analogies, yeah.
Reminds me a lot of Mary Oliver for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, just that quiet, that calm, that.
And so profound.
And such keen observation as well.
Yes.
Yes, very much so. The highest compliment I was ever paid as a budding poet was from my mentor, who, after reading one of the things that I'd recently written, said, "It sounds like Mary Oliver." And I thought, well, I might as well stop writing now. It's not going to get any better than that. But that was very encouraging for me as a poet. Michael, I believe you're next.
Yes, and now I'm following Ted Kuzer and Mary Oliver. So quite the envious position to be in, right? So I think I'm gonna. This is an old poem actually, but it's on the nature side, so we'll go with that vibe. This poem is called "Walking Half Moon Canyon." Shizuko and I look a long while, observe the gestures of the young branches in the ironwood trees. She says the wind exhales its dreams into their leaves, which I almost believe. Our eyes catch an elaboration of cranes overhead. Their shadows skim the Manzanita Trail, urging toward the ocean. The path ahead winds through to a rocky bluff, then up and over where we can see the sleepless Pacific washing seaweed and stone ashore. I say, it was a fleeting suggestion of cranes that led us here. No, she says, and the wind seems to exhale with her. It was the fine winged dust of our willing bones and belief in the whispers of trees.
Some really nice images in there.
Thank you.
Love the wind lines, the wind images, just gorgeous.
Thank you.
You're so calm and so patiently waiting. Frankie, would you like to read another?
I don't have anything else prepared, so
All right.
I'll join the audience.
Not a problem. Nicole?
Yeah, I have one. It's called Shadows. The darkness lurks and calls you in. As you move through the elements, the wind brushes your face. The shadows begin to awaken inside, for they drive the better part of who you are. You continue to push them down as you have been taught to suppress. The key to awakening to your true self is seeing through the shadows and accepting all they have to impress. Contemplation of surrendering to the darkness feels catastrophic, as it holds the deepest essences of our hidden secrets. To allow those unseen treasures to be displayed would leave you raw, vulnerable to the sun and in full view. The clouds dispense a slow stream of sunlight that allows the subtlety of the rays to permeate through the branches. These rays suffuse parts of you which you allow to be seen, not knowing the unconditionality you may receive. If you use the sun as a muse, when it succumbs to its own shadows and shines effervescently as its full self, you will begin to transform into the beauty of all of you.
Thank you.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It like makes me think of, sorry, I'm a little weepy. Like when you like lean into difficult emotions and like embrace that and like embrace the difficult like experiences that you have and like the lightness that you get out of that. Sorry.
And that's what
Those
poetry will do to you.
those sun lines were gorgeous about the sun.
Kavita, I believe that you should be next.
Okay. I think all poets write poems about poets and poetry. So while we're celebrating poetry on this wonderful evening, I thought I would read a rhyming poem about poetry that's at the back of my book, Light of the Sabbath. So this is called Poetry. Give me simple, show me what you saw. Give me pure, the ocean hugging the shore. Show me the river, flowing brisk and clear. Show me the tree I can climb without fear. Make me listen to the ripples, the sound of the stone. Make me listen to the wind as it makes moan. Show me the silt, brown as my skin. Show me the dirt, the chaos, the din. Give me authentic, your own true voice, loud or soft, without any choice. Give me direct, help my understanding of love or pain. Make me feel the suffering. Give me poetry, pour out your soul. Give me you, not a part, but the whole. Don't pile up images, word after word. Get me drunk, make my spirit stirred. Thank you.
Thank you.
Last line. That last line is a killer.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to share one last poem, a little more on the humorous side. And I honestly don't remember if I wrote this about someone specific or if it was simply a stranger that I saw. But you should enjoy this. I'll put it on screen for you. This is called Red-Haired Wonder. Forgive me if I stare. I know it's not polite, but when you passed just now, the sun caught your hair like a flame and nearly blinded me to everyone, everything else. 1,000 thoughts attacked me. Are you busy? Are you married? Can you stop? Am I too rude? Oh, sweet muses, loose my tongue and give me something clever, a word, a phrase that will stop her, hold her. Give me a chance to kneel and beg her for eternity, or just 5 minutes. Oh, heaven that gave me eyes, thank you for this sunlit vision. Let her be kind to one so bold, so common as I.
Oh my gosh.
A bit of the adolescent boy in that.
Yes, I love the rapid fire thoughts in the middle there where it's, yeah, that's Wonderful.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Definitely.
So at this point, I'm going to stop recording, but we're not going to stop the meeting.